Hi, this is Xavier from Army Recognition reporting from Dubai Airshow 2013. We are sitting inside the V-22 Osprey right now with Brian, captain with the US Marine Corps VMM 166, who will give us a few information regarding the V-22. So Captain, thank you for having us on board.
Absolutely, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Can you start off by explaining what the V-22 is exactly?
Yes sir, no problem. The V-22 is the first production tilt rotor aircraft. So we have the capability to take off and land like a helicopter. And then we're a real life transformer. We bring the nacelles down to 0 degrees, and at that point we fly like an airplane. So helicopter capability for landing zones and shipboard operations, as well as the speed and range of an airplane.
What are the typical missions for the V-22?
Typical missions for the V-22 are going to be troop transport as well as logistical support. So we can carry 24 combat-loaded Marines and up to 10,000 pounds of internal cargo. So pretty multi-mission. We can also do a C2 platform. We can aerial refuel, etc. It's a very versatile aircraft.
And with the US Marine Corps, what are the typical use?
So,
what you just explained?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Mainly troop transport. So for the Marine Corps, we're usually the main squadron of a reinforced squadron on what's called a MEU. So we'll be the medium lift asset, usually carrying the Marines to the LZs.
All right. I believe the V-22 is currently used extensively in the Philippines.
So that's correct, sir. Yeah, the V-22 is being used in the Philippines. So those V-22s are one of our new squadrons in Okinawa, Japan, that are down there, and they're with the 31st MEU, I believe, working out of there.
In that type of context and scenario, what are the qualities of the aircraft?
The speed and range are really great. Also, the all-weather capability. So they can. It's a great instrument platform to be able to get into the airfields when the weather's not great. And then, like I said, the internal cargo capacity allows us to carry that the cargo such as rice and water in the humanitarian aid situation, as well as getting any folks out of the area that need to be moved. So,
all right. Thank you very much for your time,
cool.
Captain.
No problem, sir.
Okay, we are now with Captain Dodd, U.S. Marine Corps, VMM 166, next to the UH-1Y, to learn more about this helicopter.
Well, this is the UH-1Y Venom. It's the Marine Corps' light utility helicopter, and the utility mission pretty much comes from the diversity of mission set that this type of helicopter accomplishes. As you can tell, we can carry both troops and ordnance, so we can provide close air support. We can also do small team insert and extracts, as well as it's a great command and control platform for commanders in battle space. It has a completely integrated avionics suite with a digital glass cockpit, as it shares with the AH-1Z Viper. Between these two aircraft, 84% of the components are compatible, with the 16% mainly being in the fuselage, or the difference between the two aircraft in the fuselage. The ordnance loadout that we carry on this aircraft is we carry 7 2.75-inch rocket pods, as well as machine guns mounted on top. And that provides our close air support capability. The sensor we have on the aircraft is a Bright Star Block 2 sensor. What that allows us to do is we can laser designate for precision guided munitions, as well as provide an IR pointer and a rangefinder, which allows us to pinpoint specific pieces of terrain and identify how far they are away from the aircraft. The sensor itself rotates 360 degrees, which is a nice feature of the aircraft, allowing us continuous sensor coverage wherever we fly. Moving back, the UH-1Y Venom has two T700 401 Charlie engines. They're rated at 1,800 shaft horsepower each, and provide significant power for the aircraft.
Okay, we're now with Captain Fry, U.S. Marine Corps, VM-166, in front of the Cobra helicopter to learn more about this machine. Hi, Captain.
Hello.
What can you tell us about the Cobra?
So this is the AH-1 Zulu Viper helicopter made by Bell. It's the newest in a long line of Cobra helicopters, going back several generations. With this new aircraft, we have a fully integrated avionics suite with a glass cockpit display. We have a helmet-mounted sight integration system, which allows us to get all of our flight instrumentation displayed on a monocle that's placed over our eye. We have daytime display modules with that information, as well as nighttime on night vision goggles for flight in any time, day or night. In the front of the aircraft, the first weapon system is the 20mm cannon. It is a 3-barrel 20mm gun system. It uses a linkless feed system. The barrels will spin, and the direction of the gun can be controlled using the FLIR sensor, which is in this ball located on the nose of the aircraft. That sensor and the gun system are controlled in several different ways by either pilot in either seat. There's a mission control grip that looks like similar to a video game controller that the pilot can hold in his hands to control the gun system as well as the cameras. Additionally, in the cockpit, the seating configuration is front seat and back seat. Either pilot can fly from either seat. There's controls in both cockpits. So on one day, I may sit in the front seat, and the next day I may sit in the back, depending on the crew pairing and the mission that we have that day. But again, you can do pretty much everything for the aircraft from either seat. The screens that we have inside replace the old analog gauges with digital glass cockpit displays. There's 2 primary multi-function displays and then a dual function display that's on a telescoping system between the pilot's knees. Other integrations of the aircraft are the aircraft has a data recording system that records all the in-flight data onto a mission card. So any data that's recorded via the sensor, the flight path of the aircraft, we have the ability to collect some things like that. The gun system maintains the ammunition inside a compartment below the canopies. There's a trunk inside there that feeds the cannon on the front. Additionally, on the wing stubs, for the ammunition that we can carry, ordnance loads depend on what the mission may be. But we carry 2.75-inch unguided rockets, as well as Hellfire missiles, and then we can carry the AIM-9 Sidewinder missile as well. Example on here is an auxiliary fuel tank. In case we do need to carry more fuel, we have that option as well. The aircraft's powered by 2 GE T700 turboshaft engines. They're oriented on either side of a main transmission that drives now a 4-bladed rotor. Upgrade from the old aircraft, which only had two rotor blades. Now the aircraft has a fully articulated 4-bladed system using composites. Overall, it increased the ability to carry more ordnance. Aircraft goes a little bit faster, a little bit further. Through the back of the aircraft, the tail boom, all the way up to the 4-bladed tail rotor. Again, the tail rotor blades are also made out of composite, makes them lighter and more durable. So the mission of the aircraft is to provide close air support to ground troops. We do convoy escort missions, we do aerial reconnaissance missions, really the gamut of what the MAGTF and what the Marine Corps needs. And right now with these aircraft, we're forward deployed with the Marine Expeditionary Unit to work on military-to-military engagement throughout the region with our allied nation and our partners throughout the Middle East. It provides good training opportunity and also comparable working relationships with other militaries.
I am with Lieutenant Grumman here in front of the P-8 to learn more about this maritime patrol aircraft. So Lieutenant, thank you very much for welcoming us.
Yes, no problem.
What can you tell us about the P-8?
So the P-8 Poseidon is the Navy's newest maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft. Primary mission is anti-submarine warfare, and it is a multi-mission platform which also includes intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
What are the typical missions for the P-8?
So, like I said, anti-submarine warfare, submarine hunting is our bread and butter, if you will. It's our primary mission with this aircraft. But with it being a multi-mission platform, like I said, we do the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and all the missions associated as such.
Which weapons can be deployed by the Poseidon?
So we carry torpedoes and air-to-ground missiles as well, as necessary for the missions.
How would you detect submarines?
So we use what are called sonobuoys. We launch them into the water, and they have hydrophones on them that drop down, and we can acoustically detect the submarine.
The P-8A is not fitted with a MAD?
It's a capability they haven't included yet, giving down the road possibly, but as of now it does not.
All right, Lieutenant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, we are now with Mike, with a lieutenant on board the E-2T Advanced Hawkeye for the U.S. Navy.
This is actually an E-2C Hawkeye. I'm a pilot on board, and our primary mission is to It's Carrier Airborne Early Warning, and we operate it as well as the French, and it's exciting. It's a really exciting aircraft to fly. So we like to launch off the carrier, and then we station somewhere around the carrier, and our goal is to extend the range of sensors for the ship to be the eyes for the carrier.
All right. The information you get from the radar, do you share it with both the battle group and the aircraft in the air?
We'll share it with multiple sources and assets in the area.
I'm now with Lieutenant Brian Jones, pilot on F-18E Super Hornet, who will tell us about his fighter jet.
Nice to meet you. This is the Boeing F-18E Super Hornet. It's part of 2 model series that Boeing builds, both the F-18 Echo and the Foxtrot models. This is the single seat variety, only 1 pilot in the front. We also make the 2-seat, like I said, it's got a pilot and a Wizzo in the back. This is basically Boeing's premier carrier-based multi-role strike fighter. It's capable of carrying both air-to-air and air-to-ground ordnance on the same mission sets. So we're talking the differences between the Hornet and the Rhino. The F-18C model that the U.S. Navy uses is what we call the Legacy Hornet. This airplane is 20% bigger. It carries 33% more fuel than the Legacy Hornet. One of the biggest reasons we kind of went to the Rhino or the Rhinoceros kind of moniker for this airplane is because when we're calling the ball, so we can notify the ship of what kind of aircraft is on short final for resting gear settings. Hornet and Super Hornet can be confusing, so we just went with Hornet and Rhino, 2 very different sounding words on the radio that we can communicate better to the landing signal types. So one of the biggest differences you'll notice on this airplane, with a lot of land-based fighter jets, is just going to be the overall size of the landing gear itself. So you can see there's just a lot more metal parts involved in how this all works. It's got this large drag brace right here that attaches to the main portion of the landing gear all the way into the backbone of the jet. That's how we translate all of that force from this launch bar to the catapult shuttle, which takes us from 0 to 150 knots in about 2.5 seconds. And all that happens right here in this kind of front set of nose gear. You can also compare it to the main landing gear, and it's just a lot larger in size and a lot bulkier than a lot of the other landing gear you'll see on typical land-based fighter jets and airplanes. Kind of continuing around the hard points, you can see we're missing one right now, but we have the 2 what we call the midboard and the outboard pylons mounted. It's where you see your mock-up of the GBU-31 2,000-pound JDAM GPS guided bomb. And the next outboard station is our AIM-120 radar guided missile. And then finally on our wingtip or our outboard stations, or our wingtip stations, we have the AIM-9 Mike. This is just a CATM, it's not a real missile. This is approximately what it'll look like, mounted on the actual wingtip stations themselves. One of the biggest advantages of the F-18 is its slow speed maneuvering capability, and a lot of that is achieved by these large control surfaces you see on the back of the wing. So these larger ailerons and then also the trailing edge flaps back here give this airplane an excellent ability to maneuver in the high AOA or high alpha regime like we like to talk about. Also part of that as well is going to be these larger stabilators, what we call stabs, on the back of the airplane. This entire control surface moves from full throw, from full up to full down. It does not have a separate elevator like you see in a lot of airplanes. This entire control surface moves on its own with flight control computers. Moving around, you can, if you look at the tails themselves, they're not actually straight up and down like you would see in an F-15 or an F-14, but rather they're canted outward just a little bit. Gives us a little bit of advantage in the carrier environment as well, as we can tow the rudders in so that both rudders are pointed to the inside. It gives us a little bit more nose up authority in the wave off capability, so that anytime we do need to take that wave off at the boat or at the aircraft carrier, we have excellent wave off capability with this airplane. Of course, the one kind of giveaway for all good carrier-based or Navy aircraft is going to be that large tail hook that's on the back of the airplane. This thing is going to come all the way down and drop below the aircraft, and this is how we actually stop with that arrested landing. So we take this jet, max trap of 44,000 pounds at about 135 knots of approach speed, take all that energy and land it on an aircraft carrier and stop it at about the same amount of distance that it took off with. So pretty impressive, all that energy gets translated through this one point on the airplane.
I am now with Captain Tito Higgins, pilot on board the F-15E Strike Eagle.
It's a multi-role air-to-air and air-to-ground capable. We carry missiles as well as bombs. For our missiles, we carry the AIM-120, which is a medium-range radar-guided missile. We also carry the AIM-9, which is our IR heat-seeking missile. We also carry air-to-ground ordnance. For our air-to-ground ordnance, we'll generally carry laser-guided bombs as well as GPS-guided bombs. We can carry generally 6 bombs on each side of the aircraft, which I can show, as well as missiles on the missile rails, which you can see behind me above the fuel tanks for that. Typically, we'll fly for around an hour to 2 hours, depending on what our mission is and what we're training to. We'll do air-to-air type combat missions as well as air-to-ground type combat missions. The primary mission that we've been doing for the past few years is close air support over in OEF and OIF when those were going on. All right, now I'm going to give you a quick tour around the jet. So up here is where we house the radar in the front nose of the aircraft here. We carry the APG-70 radar, which is a pretty capable radar that we have in our inventory right now. As you can see up there, we have 2 seats in the aircraft. So a 2-man crew. We have a pilot who sits in the front seat who will generally operate most of the air-to-air systems, and we have a weapons systems officer in the back seat who will generally operate most of the air-to-ground weapons systems. As we come around here, you can see we do have the 2 engines, the left intake that's covered up right there. Below that, you'll see what we call the pods. So on the left side, we have the lantern pod, which is used mostly for our navigation. It'll do terrain mapping as well as terrain following for us. On the right-hand side of the aircraft over there is the sniper pod. The sniper pod basically functions as a TV camera, giving us infrared as well as real-time footage of what's on the ground, which then displays to our sensors and our displays in the cockpit. We generally use the sniper pod for most of our air-to-ground targeting, as well as lasing in or firing the laser to laze in our laser-guided bombs. On the other side here, if you look up towards the wing root, is our 20 millimeter Gatling gun. It's a 6-barrel gun. We generally carry around 500 rounds, and we can use that both air-to-air as well as air-to-ground for delivering the ordnance. Down the side is what we call our pylons. Each of these pylons can carry either missiles or bombs. We have 6 on each side. So each of these hooks that we have down here will hold the ordnance to the jet. These are our external fuel tanks, which allows us to carry approximately 8,000 to 10,000 pounds of extra gas, which just increases our range as well as time we can stay airborne. It is air-to-air refueling capable, so we do air-to-air refueling to extend the sortie links that we have. Above the fuel tanks, you'll see where we have the wing missile rails is what we call them. The missile rails will hold the AIM-120 medium-range radar-guided missile, the AMRAAM. It also holds the AIM-9, which is our IR heat-sinking Sidewinder missile. So back here we have our 2 engines that you can see. They're the Pratt & Whitney F100 220 motors. They produce about 30,000 pounds of thrust. And in the center there you can see our tail hook. It's not used to land on the carrier, but it's used in case of hydraulic emergencies. If we lose our brakes, we can put the tail hook down and take a cable to help us stop after we land the aircraft.